Hola amigos, bienvenidos, welcome. My name is Ricardo El Profe from Radio Láser and MLTV, and this is our segment, Mi Historia. What is the objective for those of you that are coming on for the first time? Well, it is definitely to share the talents that our culture possesses, whether it's art, music, poems, anything, even making clothes, because everything is important. And today we have some amazing guests that felt like it was truly important to not only the art, but share the message of equality, which I think is important. And what you're going to learn throughout this message is that it has been there for many, many years, and the mission has existed for many, many years. And we're going to start off by introducing Selena, which is Serena. Yes, Selena. I always mess up the name, right? Selena, director of 559 Project, and she has the outfit. Let's give her a round of applause for that outfit. By the way, no one can see that everyone's clapping for you, but they really are. I'm going to actually go ahead and let everyone on now, but I wanted to thank you first of all. And in a few minutes, you're also going to meet Phil Gonzalez, which teaches Chicano Latino Studies at Fresno State, which is a really important person in my life. It's extremely talented, and he also has an amazing project called Murales de Mi Tío, which I was very happy to be proud of, even if it was only a grain of salt. But meeting you guys has really been an inspiration. So tell us and introduce us to your gang.
Again, my name is Selena Martinez. I'm the co-founder and executive director of the 559 Mural Project. And I have with me, I'm so very lucky to have this team, Serena Renee Resendez, who is also co-founder and my chief operations officer. And we also have Kiana Louise Salazar, who is our PR and marketing director and is always promoting and hyping everything that we do, and just makes it so much fun when we're promoting things. And I just wanted to take a moment, since Serena, along with everyone else, is in Fresno County. I wanted to take that moment to acknowledge the lands that we're on. And so in Fresno County, it belongs to the original Yukut tribes, which include the Chukchansky, Chonomi, Duma, and Kichavi, and Tachi and Tule River. And Kiana is actually with us from Tulum, Quintana Roo, Mexico, which of course the indigenous Mayans, the famous Mayans, are from. And I'm actually in San Mateo County, which the original Ramaytush Ohalan people. So I just wanted to take that moment to acknowledge that. And we're the 559.
Thank you very much for sharing that. So we're going to get started. We're going to learn a lot. So hopefully you guys are paying close attention. We already have a hello. Tommy Moreno says, what's up?
Hey, Tommy.
Thanks for joining us.
So thanks for joining, Tommy. Hopefully, those of you that are watching now, do me a favor, share the video, tell your friends about it. Let's get some exposure so we continue to share this amazing art. So let's start with Selena, and we can kind of move around the group a little bit. So how is this project born? When does it happen?
Right. So this is a project that happened last year after the racial, reckoning, with the pandemic. The coronavirus pandemic started. We immediately saw the hate that was emerging with the Asian Chinese Americans, and then we saw again the police brutality on the Black community, and it really just took off after Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and Serena and I, me, Kiana, and Serena went to grade school together, and we reconnected for our passion to address racial injustice, socioeconomic inequities in our hometowns of Selma and Fresno County. And, Serena and I, we got together, and Serena really got a group of friends together and planned out a gathering in Kingsburg to stand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. And then we did a march in Selma. And then from there, we decided that it was a good time to actually do this project I had from grad school to build upon a local activist, Vicky Filgus, to build upon that work and take murals from the downtown in Selma to more neglected neighborhoods in Selma and other rural communities. And it's been amazing what we've been able to accomplish in a few months with the help of all our connections that we made, the community partnerships, Vicky being that mentor, and now Phil. We've been so excited of the support that we've been been shown, and the artists have just been amazing. Ariel Amaro, Mike, editor, Ibex, their talents are just phenomenal, and so much love for them for helping us create our vision. And so that's how we started, and excited to talk about the murals with them. And
I'm excited. I'm super pumped up. I mean, talk about, I love this image that I'm looking at, because we are like the epitome of what our country looks like, right? It's amazing. I don't think, so my dad told me something the other day I wanted to share with you guys. He said, a song will eventually finish and then you walk away, but a mural on a wall is there 24 hours a day, every day. And no matter what, even if you ignore it, you must address what you're walking past. So I wanted to share that with you because I was like, oh, Dad, that was pretty cool. I'm going to share your story. I just stole it from you. I hope that's okay. So let's start with Kiana. Kiana, tell us about the role you play in the 559 mural project. Kiana, can you hear us?
So I'm a native of... Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So I'm a native of the 559, community. I born and raised in Selma, California, and my family is all around the 559. So when I heard about Serena and Selena's project, and it was right around the same time as the protests for George Floyd and all the racial inequities that were blowing up all over our media, I became passionate because I felt like it was a really good time to get involved and try and make a difference in the 559. I come from a background in PR and communications, and it was during the pandemic where most of us were locked inside of our apartments, I really felt like I needed to put myself to good use and do as much as I could within my skill set. Aside from coming from the PR, industry, when I'm passionate and excited about something or feel like I can make a difference, I raise my voice everywhere that it can be heard. So that's when I got involved, and my role is to try and make sure, anyone and everyone knows about the 559 Mural Project, mostly within our community, but as I'm traveling here and seeing art everywhere, the conversation about, our project comes up in conversation with the locals that I'm traveling around to.
Yeah, and I do remember hearing while we were backstage that Ariel actually has a mural near a town where you are, right? Correct, Ariel?
Yeah, I think, are you in Tulum right now, Kiana?
Yes, I am.
Okay, just south of Tulum, there's a town called Bacalar, and Mike Howe and I painted a mural there in 2018.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What a small world, right? What a small world. Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to share with you is what I enjoy about talking to Kiana, especially right now that she's in Mexico. You notice how the cause and the mission doesn't stop because we have other things to do in our lives. The cause, actually, you have to stay on top of it, or else people will forget that there is a cause. So I really, truly appreciate you leaving the party or your work, whatever's happening, Kiana, to join us today. I really, truly appreciate it. And we're going to move over to Serena, who recently just got an amazing job, and she's doing amazing things, but she is also a very critical part of this particular project. I truly enjoy hearing her speak in public. So why don't you tell us what role you play in this mission and vision?
Yeah, so I'm the Chief Operations Officer for the 559 Mural Project. I'm also the co-founder. Selena brought me on, and I'm doing groundwork. And so, Selena's in the Bay Area, and so I'm here making connections with artists, going out to potential mural sites, meeting with stakeholders, engaging the community. So that's pretty much my role with the 559.
Wonderful. And obviously that role is very important. And you notice how it actually takes a village. It's not possible, even with the best leadership, that one person can do everything by themselves. And I know that Selena does an amazing job, but I'm assuming that you two are probably left and right hand, right? I'm assuming. I really enjoy watching you three in action, and I must get to the art, if you don't mind. So who would like to, let's go with Mauro first. So Mauro, tell us about the mural you painted in Estrella Market. And actually, let me go with Selena really quick. Selena, Estrella Market before I go with Mauro. Selena, can you hear me? Her microphone is off. No, you're on mute.
Oh.
I was like, is this part of that? Is she a mime now? So go ahead. How did you guys decide that Estrella Market was going to be one of the locations?
Yes, so one of our goals was to, our target neighborhood was El Barrio. Unfortunately, we were unable to find a building or business owner centrally located, but Vicky Hilgas, our mentor advisor, has deep connections in Selma and was able to connect with the supporter of her previous project, La Estrella Market, the business owners there, Jose and Martha Mendoza. And so she reached out to them and started that conversation. Hey, we have a group. They really want to paint a mural, X, Y, and Z, our mission of, social justice. And immediately they were on board. They were mission aligned, and they, because of the times and the protests, they did want to depict something very empowering of Mexican Americans and the inequities there in our community. And so that's how that went about. Vicky was very instrumental in making that partnership with our group.
Wonderful. So I don't know who this question would go to. So I'm going to just kind of leave it up to the panel. You can tell me. So how did you guys decide what the art would be? And so, for example, how did you know Mauro was going to paint the area that he painted, or Ariel, or how? I think his name is, what's the other gentleman's name?
Mike Howe.
Michael.
Oh, yeah, I'm giving a shout out too, because Mike Howe is watching right now from Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
And on that note, here you go. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to Mike, an amazing artist as well. So I would like to take on that question. How did you guys decide who was going to paint what?
I'll take that question first. I think with Serena and I, again, the mission line of our group, which is, we're advocates, we're activists advocating for artists, but our mission is to really create art that is socially conscious and culturally relevant. And so that's what we're really, that big theme, and to reflect the times that are going on and making an empowering statement. So that's what we pitched, and we pitched different ideas of protest and oppression and groups, but we left it ultimately up to the artists what they wanted to create, and didn't want to get in the way of their creative magic.
Oh, I see. So Mauro, so we'll start with Mauro. What made you decide And I'm going to show everyone a little preview really quick. This was your piece. Go ahead, Mauro. And why did you decide on this particular image and what it represents? And can you explain to us what we're looking at?
Yes. So I think this comes from ideas that usually hang out in your mind over months and years. And you have these ideas and you're just waiting for the right support, the right project, right, to come, and then you plug it in. So I constantly talk about colorful casitas, traveling in Mexico, in the pueblos. I feel like people in small towns in Mexico are so much more open to color because of just the way how like society is structured, the government rules. And so I keep talking about colorful casitas, colorful barrios, colorful hoods. I keep imagining kids walking to school, people going about their day seeing color. So that's why I thought of this, and I thought of the colores, which was an idea that had kind of same thing jumping in my head. And as I thought about it more, I realized how much of a popular concept it was, especially within the immigrant community, and as a lot of the Mexican immigrant community, there's a heavy church Catholic influence. And for example, that idea, even though it's not just limited to the church community, it's very relevant because of the diversity, the alegría, the resistance in the farm labor organizing, and on and on and on. And so it felt universal,
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to kind of point out is, can you explain to me who this gentleman is? Although I know it and everyone on the panel knows it, can you explain to us who he is and what role he plays in the movement?
Yeah, so this guy right here is everybody's Theo that comes and hangs out on the weekends. That's what everybody comes by. He's like, hey, that looks like my dad's brother.
He does. He definitely does.
Man, here is el maestro. Much respect to him, el maestro Fernando Hernandez, who happened to be my teacher when I was in high school at Roosevelt. And as we know, Roosevelt has a strong arts program. So he his history of his own history of the OGs doing murals since the 70s,
And so, Mauro, I noticed that on his shirt you put BLM. Why did you decide to put those initials there? And what is the definition to you? What does it mean to you?
Bolis, lollipops, and mazapanes. Wow, man, we gotta support the movements, man. I talked to the fam, I talked to friends. Like, very frankly, growing up, being a brown kid, there's tensions with black kids. Like, growing up and on as adults, man, tensions. And we just have to be strong people and be like, hey, man, like, time passes, decades passes. Those tensions, that comes from oppression,
Absolutely.
And it's just like, hey, we got to stand up for each other and support each other, And of course, other minorities, other groups, but you notice who's receiving the tougher end of it all,
Yeah. Yeah, and I really appreciate you bringing that up because the Black Lives Matter movement is literally our movement. Literally. They're the same movements because, unfortunately, we find people to oppress. We find people to pick on, to segregate, to count them as less than others. It's just one of the American ways, unfortunately. And so hopefully through this art and telling these stories, we can create change. But I wanted to, again, I'm going to share the image with you, with the audience, but this is beautiful. I mean, this literally does remind me of Mexico, that does look like someone's Theo in everyone's family. The rooster is amazing. And I have to tell you, Mauro, and you did mention it, if you don't know the De Colores song, you are literally not a Latino. You are not Hispanic. You are not Chicano. You are not Mexican. We don't know what you are. But if you don't know that song, it's literally, it should be engraved in everyone's mind. So I wanted to thank you again for sharing that. And just to kind of, go ahead, Mauro, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, we really have to give a shout out to Eddie Rodriguez, and Goku, the Pink King from Merced, who just showed up in support. And Goku painted the gallito because Canta el Gallo says the lyrics. Canta el Gallo say the lyrics. And also Eddie, he is a master portrait artist, a realist artist, classically trained, and he painted the actual face of Maestro Hernandez. So it just happened that they were there, and you can't just let that talent chill, and you got to put them to work, so they contributed. So much love to them.
Yeah, and you know what? And those of you that would like to, you should Google him because it looks identical. That's what he looks like. So thank you for sharing. Yes, Serena. Selena, go ahead.
Yeah, and I just want to make a comment of just the art experience of them painting that. That actually wasn't in the original sketch. And just the magic of how the artists worked together, that Goku came and painted that, because how they actually were looking in their surroundings of the neighborhood, because there was a rooster across the street. And it just fit so well. And just the magic of the moment with the artist just worked, with me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I must point out this very intelligent young lady, Naomi Vidal, I'm assuming. She said it's a beautiful song. So she's right. She gets a high five somewhere or a happy hour drink. But thank you for being correct. And we have another message. Me encanta. Ay, Mauro, this one's for you. Mira, me encanta, Mauro. Keep sharing your art and your Mexican diversity. We are de colores. That is true. That's literally the image that I'm looking at right now. And Mauro, is there something else you wanted to mention about the piece before we go on to Ariel?
Just to keep connecting and threading things, is that as the piece expands, there's a deeper history about art in the Valley, right? And I think that's what we're all here in the group. So it's really connected. So just to keep going.
Absolutely. And just to give you a quick little sneak peek, this is the whole entire piece at Estrella Market. And you really, the picture, the image literally does not give it justice. It is beautiful, obviously, in the image, but in person, it is truly, truly overwhelming. I wanted to share this with you, Mauro. I literally have noticed something different every time I've seen it, because we've had a couple of vaccine events in Selma, and we happen to work there often. Every single time, I noticed something I didn't notice at the unveiling. And so thank you very much for sharing your art. Where else can they see your artwork here locally in the Valley, Mauro?
It's scattered throughout the Valley, really. But the easiest way would just to find my Instagram, which is Mauro_Carrera.
Which you will see it streaming across the page in a few seconds. You'll see his name. You'll see Ariel, Mike, and Mauro's information. So you really should, if you would like to engage with them, take a look at their art, or even share some of their beautiful artwork, please make sure that you go to their social medias and share away. So I wanted to move on to Ariel. Thank you, Ariel. Let's give Ariel a round of applause. She's been waiting patiently. She was fixing her lights. She's been telling stories behind stage. So I really wanted to thank you again for allowing us a few minutes. She has a brand new computer, and she's sharing that computer experience with us. So I really, truly appreciate it. So tell us about your piece.
Okay. So I want to thank you, Ricardo, for having me on. And
You're
Selena
welcome.
for inviting me, and also Selena for asking me to be part of the 559 Mural Project right off the bat. I want to just go back a little bit to your first question. You're initially asking about the whole piece and how the design was created. Yeah, perfect if you put that up there. So Selena asked me to be an artist to start a design for this, and we initially had a conversation about what 559 Mural Project wanted, and I believe the theme agreed upon was art and activism. And then I with the other two artists, Mauro Carrera and Mike Howe, we started, brainstorming about how, what something like this is going to be. And you use the landscape that you have, so it was a long design. And so Mike and Mauro actually shared the fact that they both had teachers that they looked up to that were Chicano muralists back in the day. And so the very first figure on the left is Ernie Palomino, and he was Mike Howe's professor at Fresno State. And Mike would have to answer the year on that. But so he, Mike decided he wanted to depict Ernie, and Mauro wanted to represent Fernando, and they were brainstorming on how that would happen. Ernie, I don't know if everybody knows, but Ernie is an amazing musician as well as an artist, painter, and a muralist. So, and then Mauro gave us the idea of De Colores, the song, and then that gave us a whole lot of more imagery to work with. And we generated this image of Ernie Palomino playing the piano and kind of generating the movement to start that spreads across the whole mural. And so it goes through kind of a light burst into a rainbow and the colores and the landscape. And then you get into the image on the end that I painted. So I was really happy to use the image of Dolores Huerta, because she's such a prominent, iconic figure of civil rights activism and farm workers movement right here in the Valley. So I looked around for a bit for like a really good image of her, and I found a photograph of Dolores Huerta, I believe at a protest in a park in back in the day. I don't know the year. So I wanted to use that to represent her, really laying the foundation for so much activism. So there was really like kind of three parts, I think, to the part I did. So you have Dolores Huerta herself, and then there's like a serpent, which is Quetzalcoatl, which is an Aztec serpent. And then on the end point, you have the protest movement. So I kind of look at it like you have the past and you have the present, and the serpent in the middle kind of giving birth to the movements of the present and the future, because as we keep going in the struggles that people have, that's the general idea for the image that I made.
Absolutely, and it is beautiful. I recommend that you drive by Estrella Market and check it out. And I wanted to make a comment to you guys. I've been around somewhat in the movement with El Concilio de Fresno, with Eddie Varela and Venancio Gaona and other community leaders, and I was an adult education teacher for many years. And I've actually heard this comment before, like, Cesar Chavez wasn't that big a deal, or Dolores Huerta, that wasn't that big a deal. And my dad's answer is, would you give your life for something you believe in forever or not? How many people would really do that, right? How many people really live and breathe the cause? Not very many people. And there's not a lot of MLKs in the world. There's not a lot of Gandhis in the world. There's not a lot of Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. And so you have to acknowledge those leaders that really paved the way for us to be able to even express ourselves, right? Because if it wasn't for the movement, you would not be able to express yourself in the way that you're able to. And one of the ways you know that it's working is none of these murals are damaged. None of these have gang signs or inappropriate writing or somebody crossing out the information. It's like literally doing it to someone's tomb, right? So I really commend you for stepping out there what most people would be their comfort zone, and putting your art out there for everyone to see. Because, some people love it and some people don't. But for the most part, no matter what, it's a beautiful image. So thank you very much for doing that. I have a couple of comments that just popped up. I'm going to share them to see if you guys want to say hi to these folks. So here's the first one. This is Reina Gonzalez Carrera. Which is a beautiful name, by the way. Promote your work more. That I agree. Your work needs to be shared more. And the way to share that artwork, Reina, is by sharing these messages, sharing these videos with as many people as possible, and continue the conversation. Keep it going. So again, we're going to go on to Mauro. You got a lot of fans, my friend. Saludos, Reina. Thank you very much for sharing. And so we're going to move on. Is there anything else, Ariel, you wanted to share? I'm going to share. Go ahead.
Yes, I just got a message here from Mike Howe, like I said, who was watching from Las Cruces,
Yes.
New Mexico, and he wanted us to bring up La Brocha de Valle, but I'd like Mauro to take that on so he could explain to people what La Brocha de Valle, and I'm sorry I forgot that part because it is a big part of the relationship between Ernie Palomino and Fernando Hernandez, who are the two first figures in the mural there.
Okay, so I'm going to share this. I believe it's in this area?
Yeah, it's between Ernie and Fernando. It's part of the mural.
Okay, so I think it's this right here.
Yeah, that's a better image. Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we pass it on to Profe Phil to talk about La Brocha del Valle, maybe?
Perfect. Yes.
Phil, suddenly tag you're it. So let me do a quick introduction. So Phil, who teaches Chicano Latino studies at Fresno State, which is literally one of the most important universities in California, as a matter of fact, in the entire nation. And the first thing I thought when I looked at my background, I was like, oh my gosh, I have a really good background. And then I saw Phil's, and I suddenly did not feel as proud about my background. And so thank you very much for joining us, Phil. He's going to be telling us about Murales de Mi Tío in a little bit, but did you want to go ahead and jump in to answer that question Mauro had? You can see the artwork.
Yes, and gracias for including me in this process with this project. This has been just sometimes more than you can imagine that you're involved with. Brocha del Valle was an idea of local valley artists. The brush of the valley is La Brocha del Valle, is what that means. And Ernesto Palomino was one of the key leaders, and another gentleman named Ezequiel Orona, Lee Orona. Those two guys were like two peas in a pod. And when I lived in Madera, I first moved there in 1979, and I remember driving into Madera, the town, from the east to the west on Yosemite Avenue, and at the Madera Theater was covered by this huge mural that was 2 stories tall, and in it said Raza, and within all the 4 letters of Raza were all these images of this Chicano mural, and I'm going, all right, I'm home, right? So unfortunately, years went by before I actually started doing research on this mural, and it was called the Madera Raza mural. I eventually figured out that Ernesto had a hand in painting it, along with Lee Orona, Ezequiel, they called him Lee, and that they had formed La Brocha del Valle, men and women, artists, muralists, and just painting artists, and their idea was to have a cooperative effort where they would be able to promote one another, promote the concept of Chicano art, and it eventually is going to morph into Arte Americas. So Brocha del Valle, well, it's a collective of people. There was a physical location, but it, like many things, an organization sometimes is only as strong as the various links.
Right.
So, but Ernesto was a key factor, and then he taught Fernando. So their relationship was strong. They're like relatives, and I was just doing a little a mapping here when I was putting together of, okay, like this person led me to this person it was this person, and it went like that. So now we have on that mural that's in De Colores in Estrella Market in Selma, we have a really beautiful sequence of Ernesto, and I like the way that Ariel described it, onto Fernando, and then the inclusion of the people that have mastery at painting a face, that Mauro said, hey, you know, that's what you do it. And so we have a collage of artists putting together, collaborating with this beautiful work. Mike did Ernesto. And then as the images transfer over to Dolores, the concept of the birthing Quetzalcoatl, and then out of Quetzalcoatl's mouth comes all you see the activism related to various social movements, political ideology, which is what murals came from. Murals were initially just maybe writing on a wall, posters in marches, and then they turned into symbols, people, and then collaborations of those things together. So the idea of many of the Chicano muralists and the concept of muralismo, mural art, was that someone could, a kid in the neighborhood could walk across this mural every day and they would read their culture, their history. It's a form of education. And it's truly, as you look at art, a very, very beautiful way of educating, because it's inclusive. And that's one of the things that I saw immediately with the 559 mural project. Was when I met Selena, it was like I've known her for a long time, and we had some of the same ideas, that this mural wasn't just her project, it was the community and larger. So part of that has been including artists, have a folklorico dance at the mural, have a religious blessing, and not just one religion, not just one padre or priest, but again, inclusive. And the idea that there can be this collaboration among community is truly what murals do, is they can make a community stronger. And that I think is what muralists and artists strive for, is for their art to have a message, to be enjoyed by many people. So I'm going to turn it back over to you as our MC.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing. That was amazing.
That was great. That was really good.
That was amazing. Thank you for that wonderful explanation. I actually love the fact that Phil worked on this amazing project called Murales de Mi Tío. And ironically, even though the person whose life he shares, and I'll let him tell the story a little bit later, passed away in 1980, it feels like the 559 project has actually picked that up here in the Valley, even though there's been glimpses of that throughout time, right? But somebody had to take on the baton, so I really appreciate you guys doing that, because I don't think that you guys know what it feels like for someone like me. So let me explain what that means. I was born in Mexico, knew nothing of people fighting for your rights, right? I didn't even know it was happening. So to watch these things unfold as a Mexican kid and see the connection between your Mexican heritage and the people that fight for you, right? Sometimes, and you don't even realize that they're fighting for you. So I really, truly appreciate you, all of you, going out on a limb and sacrificing somewhat your life to put your art out there, to make sure that the stories are told. And these stories are so amazing. They're going to be there forever. And I really hope, and I mean this respectfully, that someday someone says, what is Black Lives Matter? And I mean that because it won't exist anymore. Not the Black Lives Movement, but the fact that we're still being treated that way. Maybe it'll go so far away in history that it's just going to be part of our history, but not something we continue to live on a daily basis. And that's really my hope, is that it becomes just a historical story versus something we live on a daily basis. So what I wanted to share with you is Phil has a beautiful art to show you now, but I wanted to show you this because this is something that happened. When was this?
Okay, so this one was 1976.
Wow.
And the reason I wanted to share that,
some of us are old,
but you notice that this is actually fighting for equality and injustice, and 50 years later, we're still having the same conversation, right? So that kind of obviously makes you wonder, are we moving forward? But I think we can't give up the fight, right? Because we're still moving forward. So I'm going to go to Selena, and then we're going to go on to our next topic. Go ahead, Selena.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out the stories. The Ariel was talking to my mom, who would come out and enjoy the painting, and this is a story that kind of got lost on me. Is my mom would say, "Oh, my grandfather, her father, marched with Cesar Chavez to the Capitol," and I didn't really understand or know that story until recently, when my mom came with a picture of my grandfather with Cesar Chavez, and my grandfather's now in the girl and has our logo painted on his shirt, and that is so incredibly meaningful because that story of my grandfather marching with him got lost. And it was actually really incredible. Maybe Serena could just share really quick of bringing her kids to come paint and learning and teaching the next generation. Serena, how did your kids feel learning that history as they came to paint with Mauro and Ariel?
Yeah, my kids thought it was great. And from the beginning of the year, I've been able to talk to them about, Black Lives Matter, about, racism, about systemic racism, and about, oppressed people and what that looks like, and giving them real life examples. And so at a young age, they're becoming exposed and aware. And I think it's so important for me, at least, I know, and you too, Selena, we hope to spread education and awareness, because I remember I didn't wake up until I went to college, and this was 7 years after I graduated, and I became exposed to the realities that were in my backyard, and so my kids loved it. They had a great time. Every time we pass by, they get a kick out of it. And I really loved how Mauro engaged the community and my kiddos. And when Eddie and Goku were out there, and they created this image, this painting of me. And so it was so neat. And we have it hung up in my kids' room. So, yeah, it was just a great experience. They'll remember it forever.
Yeah, I'm sure they will remember it forever. So they'll always remember Mauro's name and Ariel's name and Mike's name. I think they'll live on forever. So now I wanted to ask a couple questions, if you guys don't mind. Selena, you can decide who answers this question, but tell us about some of the social injustice or social inequalities inequities that you see through this art, that we're going to be able to see through this art.
Yeah, I think the social inequities, I'll briefly say some, and then I would like Kiana to jump in as well. Just growing up in Selma, you always felt the inequities, but you couldn't really piece the dots together of why, because you just grow up with this mentality, oh, we're in America, we work hard, you get your education, and bam, you're making money or whatever. Right. But that's not the reality as you get older and start connecting the dots and policies and oppression, and really understand that racism didn't end after Martin Luther King, right? But our community, when I left for school and came back, I just didn't see growth, the recession, and, no matter how hard you try, certain groups are marginalized and are neglected and forgotten and struggling, and we just blame it on the people, which is like the racism piece. Like, oh, it's just because of that group. And it's not. It's a larger picture of systemic racism. And just I wanted to have Tiana, her voice speaking, being both Black and Mexican American and just the Black community in Selma and in Fresno County, and just wanted to have her chime in as well.
Hi, thank you. So, growing up in Selma, I was one of the only, if not the only, mixed or biracial kids in my entire class, if not my entire school, up until I left when I was a teenager. And there was always like a feeling of not feeling totally accepted. And I noticed that feeling went away when I moved to a more diverse community, Los Angeles, when I was a teenager, and all of a sudden there was like a weight lifted off of my shoulders, and it was because I felt 100% fully accepted, and that shined light on the fact that I didn't feel 100% accepted when I was younger. So that was many, many years ago, and living away from the 559, I never really forgot how there even though there's no segregation that anyone talks about, there's just a feeling. So once returning to the 559 after 20 years, I felt that layer of feeling again back in the 559, and I didn't really know why. Maybe because the community is so small, that the brown community, I guess, compared to the population of Fresno, but it didn't become too prevalent to me until I started to hear voices and see voices come out on social media and the radio when the protests started. Of the older generations and some of the younger generations, that you could still hear that they believed in, that they were racist, based on their views on what was happening in the world and the views on the protests. And I couldn't believe that it was current. In my mind, I thought, okay, big cities like LA and New York and these other melting pots like Chicago, we're moving fast and forward, and it's diverse and we're all mixed together, no big deal. But come back to the 559 and it's not as diverse as it is. So anyway, that's my personal experience that I had with being reminded that racism and injustices still exist. And I just got to see that during the year of the pandemic, when we got to see people on the justice system and education boards voicing how they felt about the protests that were happening in during the pandemic.
Thank you very much for sharing that. You can tell me who would take on this question, but how did Fernando feel about being part of this beautiful artwork? Anybody want to jump in on that one?
Oh, Mauro, I think you're on mute.
You're on mute, Mauro.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool because I asked them, and sometimes people worry about, all kinds of things dealing with murals, how your face is going to be depicted, details, whatever. But he was just like, dale gas, Mauro. So that was it, dale gas. It was like, just go for it. Why think about it? Just go for it. Yeah. So I think he was proud. I think he was happy to kind of see it going.
Absolutely. By the way, if I happen to have an interview of Ernie from about 5 years ago that he did with me. So if you want to find it, you got to send me a message and I'll send you the link. Nice. By the way, he was super funny and super cool. So if you want to see the video, you got to send me a message so that I can send you the link. How did you guys... Oh, good. That means I'll expect a message.
Okay.
I'm waiting to send the link. So, guys, this is for everyone. How did you guys feel? And we're actually kind of like just reiterating something that we mentioned in the past. But how does it feel to see De Colores on this piece of artwork? Anyone on the panel can can speak to that. Anyone say aye?
You know, that song, as Mauro described it, like you described it, that it's like the national theme song of Raza. And there's an interesting view of the lyrics when you think about Como canta el gallo, and the rooster is pictured there, but you actually make animal sounds in the song. The gallina goes cara cara cara, and the little one goes pio pio pio, and so little kids are able to again, this concept of inclusion and looking at the world, that we do have animals in this world, and many of us are exposed to having a rancho with either your abuelo or your tío, or one of your cousins, or you visited somebody in Mexico someplace and there's gallinas running around and caballos and all these kinds of things. So the song speaks to a link and a connection that really goes back to kind of an indigenous thought process that we're here as part of a bigger picture. And again, it's hard to explain, but when you grow up on a rancho and all that, it's canta el gallo. Yeah, a rooster's gonna wake you up at 5 a.m. Sorry.
Yeah, I actually literally had to clarify this to one of my friends. I said, my question was, what is the unofficial national anthem of Mexico? He said, Volver, Volver from Vicente Fernandez. And then I had to say, no, I mean without an alcoholic beverage. And then it's De Colores, right? That's the unofficial song of Mexico. So I wanted to not necessarily end with the group, but I wanted to ask you guys for a favor. We've been on for about an hour, or a little close to an hour. If you watched our shows, any of our shows before, we're not finishing, but I wanted to make sure that I give everyone the same opportunity. We finish our shows the same way, with a positive message. So I'm going to ask if any of you, except for Phil, because Phil's still going to continue and the rest of you will as well, but do you have a positive message you want to share with our audience while we have them here, and maybe they can continue to share these videos? Anyone want to raise their hand? Just raise your hand. Go ahead, Mauro. Tag your it.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully if it's quick. I imagine, Ricardo, the efforts that you've done with your organization, Movimiento Latino, I've kind of seen you put in the work, right? Same thing with Profe Feo. Everybody here, I think I've asked, there's a sense that people think that 559 Mural Project is this big organization with funding. And it has to do with like how you represent yourself, right? Like we all represent ourselves differently. But nah, man, like it kind of feels like a lot of us are kind of like starting out of just ideas, free time, efforts, out of Rascochismo, just kind of going for it with whatever you have, you know. Just for anybody out there, it's like just go for it. Don't think about it too much and just go for it. Like I think a lot of us start from point one, from zero, and then just build it up, you know. And even if it's just a half a year project, whatever, you hopefully leave your mark, you know.
Yeah, and there's definitely several forms of joining the cause. You can donate $1, you can go volunteer, you can share the message, or you can give someone a forum to share their message. So there's a lot of forms. You don't have to, like, it does not cost $1 million to change the world. It's beautiful and it's helpful, but it does not take that to change the world. Does anyone want to jump in with another message? Ariel, I knew it. I knew Ariel, the other artist, would jump in. Go ahead, Ariel.
I wanted to piggyback on what Mauro just said about going for it. You know, when Selena contacted me about 559 Mural Project, and she was such a budding stage of her project, and I didn't really know what was gonna happen, but we agreed on certain things that we wanted to do, and I just said yes, and so much happened from there. Like, I'm just filled with love and so honored to be part of this project because of everything that has been accomplished, and for me to be able to help with that. But I didn't know what was going to happen exactly, but everything fell into place because I opened myself up to the possibilities of working with people and the connections that are made. So if anybody is in that stage where you're getting offers or you're not really sure, but if your intuition tells you, maybe say yes and go from there, and a lot of things can happen from that. So that was
Thank you very much for sharing those messages. That was beautiful. Wow. I'm going to, anyone else before we go on to the next part? Serena, I feel like you want to jump in. Yeah, you go. Go ahead, Serena.
So positivity. I just want to say that if you feel strongly about something, I can tell you when the Black Lives Matter movement, when the reawakening happened, I was sick to my stomach. I couldn't sleep. I was beside myself. I couldn't believe this was happening in America still, the murdering of Black Americans, people of color. And so if you feel such discomfort about something and you know something's not right, speak up about it. I remember I was like, well, what can I do in my little racist city of Kingsburg? Like what can this brown girl do? And, I had friends that I spoke out, and I had friends alongside me saying, hey, why can't we do something? Why can't we? And so for me, it was getting support from my friends, from my social media people. And, at the end of the day, it's just believing in whatever it is that you want to do and believing in yourself. It's so important. And just surround yourself with those people who are going to lift you up and help you to take on whatever it is you're looking for.
Yeah, and I'm going to Go ahead, sir. No, go ahead.
Do I have time?
Time.
Shout out to Laura Maldonado. She's a prime example. She's a journalist for the Kingsburg Recorder, the Selma Enterprise, and the Hackford Sentinel. And she broke her silence as a journalist during the summer, and she spoke up against racism that was happening here in Kingsburg. And she's watching right now, so I just want to give her a shout out. And she's a prime example of, hey, if something's not right, speak up and speak out. So thank you
very much for sharing that. Thank you very much for sharing that. It's truly important. I have one thing to share, and then we're going to move on to Phil. It does not mean that I want everyone to leave. Please stay, because we want to obviously hear your opinion once Phil shares his story. But as you know, I run an organization called Binational in Central California, which is sort of blended together into MLTV or Movimiento Latino. They're sort of all blended together. And we gave out mini grants for $250 during Christmas, so that people groceries, Christmas toys, it didn't matter. It's your $250 to spend however you want. Claudia, myself, and the rest of 150 families. That being said, time goes on, and we find this missing application that was mailed to the wrong place, and we literally are out of funding. But when I read this letter, oh my gosh, I was like crushed. The person was not asking for groceries; they were asking for milk and eggs. So at the time, we're in the middle of several projects, and I'm super stressed out, a little teary-eyed. I opened my book, and you'll never guess what I found. I found a donation that 559 Mural Project made to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, milk and eggs! Like, how amazing was that? And I was like literally looking for the check to give it back and donate it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like Selena, Kiana, and Serena knew that it would find a great home. So needless to say, she was able to buy groceries. We found her some more assistance. But I wanted to share that with you because it was the epitome of being enlightened when you think that things are just impossible and something will just happen. And at the time when Selena, I think Phil and I had the same reaction when Selena said, "Oh, I wanted to share this with you guys," and we're like, "What? No, don't do that. Don't do that." You know what I mean? But honestly, it was like God sent, because it was just there. And thank you very much for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. So I wanted to share that story with you. So that is my milk and eggs story, and hopefully it made you all warm inside. And I'm going to say her name because you won't figure out who she is, because her name is Maria. So, you know. So shout out to Maria. So now I am going to reintroduce one of my personal heroes. His name is Phil Gonzalez. He is a true inspiration who has not left his roots, regardless of the degree or the master's or the piece of paper that is on his wall. You would not know, as a matter of fact, that he is a professor, adjunct professor at Fresno State, because he treats everyone exactly the same with like this love. You almost feel warm inside every time you feel you hang out with him. And Phil is a true inspiration. One, because he's so passionate about sharing his Theo's story. So I am now going to introduce him, because he's going to share his amazing story, which is called Murales de mi Tío. Let's give him a round of applause. Come on, clap. There's only like 5 of us. We got to clap. Phil, thank you very much for joining us, Phil. And first of all, I want to make, before we start, I have to show you what I think is one of the most important pieces in the story, and then I'll let you begin. So this is an amazing piece. What is the name of this piece?
This is Chicanismo, and it is at University of California, Riverside, Chicano Student Programs. It used to be in a building on that same campus called South Library, and I first saw this in a tour of the campus as our daughter was considering going to UC Riverside. And I immediately recognized that this was my Theo's work. I didn't know that it was there. And so that led to at least the beginning of the documentation and preserving the history of this particular mural, which, as it turns out, to this point, is the only mural that still has been preserved. And it was moved. The university moved it. The students kind of made a point of, you need to preserve this. You need to put it in our place. And so I'm very proud that this has been an inspiration for really generations of students going to UC Riverside, including our daughter. So I'm very thankful. And a bigger picture of that, first of all, Ricardo, thank you very much for the really nice words. And I am thankful that I get to do this, that I do Chicano history. And I get to do it on an ongoing basis, and I'm still learning. And doing this particular project about my Theo was not something that I thought was going to be turned into an art exhibit or a book or anything else. My intent was when my Theo was killed, his kids were younger and they didn't necessarily know all of the murals that he had done in locations around Southern California. I knew where many of them were, and so I remember, telling my wife, I said, I'm going to go take pictures, and when the kids get older, become adults, I'm going to say, here's your dad's pictures. And then the process of documentation, of preserving this art, at least through photographs, was my intent. And that turned into something much bigger, obviously. And it really was due to the Chicano studies students at Fresno State that said, we want more. We want to learn more. We want to see more, share more with us. And so I began to realize that in my intent to save something for our family, for my tío's family, I was actually doing a bigger picture of preserving and documenting the Chicano movement through art. And when I saw what Selena was doing, or I heard what Selena was doing through Mauro, because at the time I was documenting another project that Mauro was involved with that's absolutely beautiful. It's 8 murals in a courtyard. Unfortunately, COVID has prevented us from having a grand opening, but the Mauro connection got me to Selena, which has, and I've told Mauro, I said, you're an artist and you're doing some really awesome stuff, and you don't know what you're doing, but it's very, very powerful, these messages that you're sending through this art. So it's an education process, and again, inclusive. So I use that word a lot because I think the message that comes with it is extremely valid. So in the same process of working with Selena, I got introduced to 2 other former graffiti artists, Editor and Ibex, and they did a mural in Reedley that has a serious social injustice, graphic on it. It just, okay, life without no borders, and yeah, kids in cages. All right, that happened in America. Okay, so when we look at the big picture of what these young women are doing, and you and I know, Ricardo, that this has been ongoing all of my life, and we're starting to see that the ideas of what Murales de Mi Tío was doing still needs to be learned by some. Okay, so in doing this Murales de Mi Tío,
Okay.
and seeing, especially when Ariel talked about the very ending of her part, and the Quetzalcoatl, and going into or coming out of the mouth is all this political activism. That's my tío's message right there. But like you said, 50 years later.
Yeah.
So my tío's message has been carried forward very powerful way through this program. And so I'm thankful that Selena has been so welcoming in not sure what else to say other than I will work with her. I'm going to be supportive of her and Diana and Serena and what they're doing, and try to assist them in any way I can, including using their murals in my classroom, which
Right.
I've already been doing.
Yeah.
So they're already making an impact.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yes, and so
That's
thank
amazing.
because the connection that you're doing with the internet and social media, we didn't have in 1980. Okay, and so there's such a difference in that the powerful ways that you can touch so many more people, and as you mentioned, just spread it to a group, share it with one another person, share it with the family member. And that's a way of supporting, other than, as you mentioned, giving $1 or $20 or whatever.
Whatever.
So, well, you're welcome to visit on YouTube, Murales de mi Tío. Truly, what I see is that the 559 project is Murales de mi Tío move forward.
Right. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. As a matter of fact, it just dawned on me that Murales de mi Tío started, I believe, if I'm correct, in the 60s. Phil, am I correct?
Actually, the mid-1970s. I think his first mural was 1973 that I'm aware of, and that was in Chino, California, and it was literally barrio where most of my cousins, my grandma, my tia, my Nino, they all lived in this close barrio in Chino, and he painted a mural. The first one, I believe, was on a market, like Estrella Market.
Oh, wow. So many connections, right? So one of the reasons why I wanted to ask when Chano's movement started for him is, I don't know if you guys realize that Chano had his own form of oppression and racism, and we deal with our form of oppression and racism, which are interconnected. But I don't know if you guys know that the link for us, or people like Mauro, Ariel, Serena, Kiana, Selena, is actually Phil. Phil is the link between Chano and the 559 Mural Project, because he speaks from a form of art that really is the first generation put, paint to wall, in a sense. And you guys have taken the reins and now move forward. And you guys are one of many people that are in the movement. But the difference between your movement and theirs is yours is here, in our home, in our backyard, in our local stores, which tell a story not only for Chicanos and Latinos, but people like myself that are Mexican or Mexicans, right? So thank you very much to all of you for making that connection. And I wanted to share a couple images with you. First of all, people have asked me this, Phil, so I'm not bringing it up just because I was being nosy, but you obviously have an amazing scenery. And in one interview you and I did, someone asked me, what is that amazing picture in the background? So I was being nosy and looked at your files, because we share files, we're friends. So, and then I found it, here it is. This is the painting, what kind of art is this? Is it pencil or?
Yeah, it's pencil. And the story behind this is, in doing the research, I actually found out the name of one of the students that worked with my tío. And like you, Ariel and Mauro, you included kids from the community in painting that mural. You want to guarantee it's not going to get defaced? Have kids help you, because that keeps the kids off of it and the parents off of it. Yeah. And anybody related to those kids or parents off of it.
And campesinos too. We had some folks from the local neighborhood folks, campesinos, out.
Yeah. So
the drawing that you see was it wasn't in my possession. And I was doing this interview. I met with this young person. We're about the same age. He lives in San Diego. So we met for breakfast. And he says, oh, I have this picture. And I'm going, what picture? And he showed me a picture of the picture, right? And I said, oh my gosh, you have my tío's original work. And so I was like, wow, can I take a picture of it, right? So he sent me a picture. And then 2 years ago, I got a package for Christmas. I didn't recognize the address, opened it up. It's this big box, and it was this. And
wow.
This former student that worked with my tío said it needs to be in his family's possession, right?
That's beautiful.
So I opened it up, and I wanted to take a picture because I wanted to have it reproduced, and if anybody else wants it, I'll have a really nice reproduction, right? I open it up, and on the back there's another picture, but it's like a gang picture of the Chino Sinners. And the Chino Sinners were like the gang that your parents don't want you to join, okay?
Right.
And so I had a picture that he had partially drawn, and so I took a picture of that picture too and had it duplicated. So amazing story, and I'm thankful that it is preserved. And for those of you that are not familiar, my Tio had some oppression in his life, as Ricardo talked to you about. He served some time in prison, and but he came out of prison. And when he came out of prison, that's when I met him. I was 9 years old. He came to his older brother, my dad, for guidance. My dad had a college education, so I'm going to go to my older brother that's going to give me guidance and show me how to, make good for myself. So that's how I became connected very closely with my Tio. Because for several years, we did everything together. He was always going to be with his older brother, and so I was with my Tio. My Tio was not like my dad. He was happy artist, happy-go-lucky, every day is Sunday kind of attitude. And so, I became like this with my Tio. He was a good guy, but he was my dad's brother, but yet not. It just not that I had known him, since I was growing up. I met him when I was 9, and very quickly I became a teenager and recognized, wow, he's had a different life than my father. So Morales de mi Tio is a reflection of me being able to give you a tribute to what I see artists have to offer. And that's why, getting to know Mauro, getting to know Ariel, which I hope I get to know her more because of the ideology that artists have. It's very powerful.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We're actually not wrapping up, and Selena does have a couple of announcements, but if you don't mind, I wanted to share this with all of you and our audience, and then Phil can talk about it on the other end while I am loading a couple of videos, or at least one, of the Estrella Market mural. Here you go.
One of the things that it brings to me is a lot of smiles and happiness because, through now that I'm...
Can we not go?
One of the things that it brings to me is a lot of smiles and happiness because, through now that I'm almost 50 years old, I've realized that, his vision was to let everybody know that he was truly here to help people, and he wanted people to be brought together. So the work that he did throughout the communities and over the years and throughout the state was, in my opinion, to bring everybody together from different nationalities, and it didn't matter what race you're from, religion, or gang neighborhood. He wanted everybody to be united, help each other, and just serve each other. I believe he did that because he thought there was a lot of racial divide. Him being, in his mid-30s when he was doing a lot of this artwork. He died when he was 40, so he was, his mid-30s when he was really at his prime. 1975, 1976, there was a lot of unrest in the nation at that time and racial divide going on, and one of his goals was to bring it together. I'm hoping that they kind of like I said earlier, give people some hope, some unity, and then start really taking a look at the Chicano art, not just the work that my dad did as a Chicano artist, but other artists that are out there. So I'm hoping that others realize, wow, this is untouched ethnic, talent or resource out there that they probably don't even know very much about.
And there you go. Here is our future talent. So I wanted to share that interview with you guys. And I also wanted to let you know, because I just got a text message, can we see more stuff? And the answer is yes, you sure can. If you visit the 559 Mural Project Facebook page, and I think Kiana can share that with you. Also, if you go to YouTube, you can find Los Murales de Mi Tío, which is the whole entire video. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's about 40 minutes long. And you can see an explanation about every single art piece, which filled it in the library at Fresno State. So I invite you to do that. So, but I wanted to make sure that I gave Selena a forum for her messages, because I know she has a few messages to relay. So go ahead, Selena.
Okay, just really quickly, I just wanted to thank Community Vision for supporting this community dialogue. They provided us a small grant to help pay honorariums for our partners who are facilitating this, and the artists as well. As I said, our organization really wants to value the spaces by paying them, and so it was really great that Community Vision provided us a small grant. And also just want to thank our fiscal sponsor, the Fresno Arts.
Thank you very much for sharing that. So it is now the end of our show. Usually, those of you that watch our stuff, we never do more than a half an hour, but I felt like this was important to share and share our message not only with our viewers, but with those that will watch this in the future, because I'm sure they will. So I'm going to start with Mauro. So Mauro, it is the end of the show. What is your message for the world?
Anyway, man, just keep adding color. It's simple. Keep adding color, right? It's metaphorical. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Un aplauso. Gracias, Mauro, por compartir tu talento no solamente con la gente que ve tu arte, pero más importante con las personas que ven tu arte por primera vez. So, muchas gracias por hacerlo. Ariel, you're up. All mysterious with the...
Put me on the spot. Okay.
I know. Gotta love it.
Ricardo, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on. I love the content a lot. It's a really good platform here. So I'm going to look forward to looking into more of your content. I want to thank Selena and give a shout out to all the girls from 559 Mural Crew, Selena, Serena, and Kiana. They're doing really great work, and I can't wait to see what they're doing in the future. Phil Gonzalez, I'm so happy to meet you and learn more about you. I just subscribed to your YouTube channel, and look forward to meeting you in person and having more conversations. So, yeah, let's just all keep being kind to one another and giving thanks for life. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing that. Kiana, you are up. What is your positive message? Your microphone is off. You want to turn? There you go. What is your positive message for our audience? What's your?
I mean, I just want to express how. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I just want to express how grateful I am for the 559 Mural Project to give me the opportunity to be a part of something with such depth and meaning and making a difference. It came into my life right at the right time. I want to thank you, Profe, for giving us this platform. I know the 559 Mural Project is grateful to be able to have this platform to share our message. And I'm someone, like I said, who shares. I'm not a very private person. When I believe in something, I share it with everyone. And I think that people should exercise communicating to each other and coming out of your shell and sharing your thoughts and feelings, but continuing to be respectful of each other. And yeah, I think that's what we should concentrate on.
Thank you very much. Un aplauso. I am still voting for Kiana, best hair ever. I'm sorry. She wins. The voting's over. Thank you very much. Serena, Mommy Serena, you are up. What is your positive message for our viewers?
Yeah. Just thank you, Ricardo, for having us on, for giving us the platform to have this community dialogue. It was so important for us, for the 559, to have this piece, to have the education and awareness piece. And we want to thank Professor Phil Gonzalez for, coming and teaching us. And, it's so important to have that history and that background and foundation. Yes, so I guess another positive piece would be just to love each other, lift each other up, be there for one another, not judgmental, just helping out your brother and your sister, your neighbors, as to the best of your ability. And yeah.
Thank you very much. Wonderful message. Thank you. And congratulations on the new job. Phil, you have your hand up.
Congrats.
Yes. So that Selena can be the last voice. I want to thank any students that in my classes that are watching this and maybe turn in an additional points assignment. This turned out to be more than I expected. And very thankful to, again, be included. I'm thankful to Ricardo that he has this platform already in place that allows us. And I'm hoping that we have future dialogues and include other people that have been a part of this in different ways. So in Spanish, as part of the movimiento, there's a saying that I have heard for many, many years, and I continue to use it. It's called "Sigue la lucha," and that means kind of keep working, keep moving forward. There's a struggle, but if you enjoy what you're doing, it's not a struggle. It becomes something that's part of you. So that's my positivity: is sigue la lucha, but in the best positive way.
Thank you very much, Phil. Un aplauso para Phil. Thank you very much, Phil, for being an inspiration. I'm sure all of your students love you because you are like the coolest person ever. And I am also going to allow, I'm going to give Selena the opportunity to have the last message. Usually it's me. I'm not going to lie, it's me. But obviously, I think she is the appropriate person for this forum. So I'm going to share my message with you. And it's actually sort of a two-parter. People think that I put this background because it is Fresno. And yes, I guess in a sense it is. But the reason why I always use this picture is for the guy in the little cart that you can see selling elotes and fruta. I don't know what that is. Right? And the reason I wanted to share that with you is that's one of the most beautiful things about our culture. The hustle is real. The struggle is real. But you will find them fighting for every ounce, every dollar, every day. And right now that I go to the fields right around 6:30 in the morning, 10:30, no one has more fun while they're working than farm workers. You would not know that they struggle financially, that they deal with depression, that they deal with maybe challenges we don't even know about. You would not know it because it is a party when we show up. So I truly appreciate that. But my message to all of you is this. You could be the person that makes someone's life perfect just by saying good morning, just by saying good night, just by saying I understand your struggle. And just so you know, when a black man or black woman is oppressed, so are you, because other people look at us that way. So I don't want you to think that that's not you. That is exactly us. Every single one of us on this screen, and there are folks that are watching, we are part of that same cause. And the only way that you're going to be completely whole is if they are whole. If Black Lives Matters truly matters, that means we matter when they matter. So I wanted to share that message with all of you. Thank you very much for allowing us in your home. My name is Ricardo Castorena El Profe from Radio Láser and MLTV and Binational of Central California. And now I present to you Selena. Your mic's off. Your mic's off. I mean, it's not off, but like something's off. Let me see. Can we hear her? We want to make sure her message sounds amazing. All right, let's see. It sounds really low.
No.
Oh, there it goes.
That's good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So just thank you, ditto everything that Ricardo said. Black Lives Matter, our struggle. That's why we're here. We're trying to empower communities one mural at a time, and just with murals and what we're doing and how we got here is through connection and relationship. And everyone here is so important to me and got us through this project. For trusting me, thank you, Ariel, for that, and for going in on it, because it was a hard time. And, you know, it was a grassroots effort. And it's still a grassroots effort, and we still want to do more and make more of an impact to have these murals and to talk about to represent really difficult issues. We're not actually reinventing the wheel, as I learned from Phil. You know, there's murals in all these different cities that are revitalizing communities and telling the stories and the struggle, and we just need to fight and stay focused as we go through our small towns to really have the art that we want to depict. And so right now, please donate, because we have more projects that we want to do in Del Rey that we're going to partner with Model and hopefully a few other artists. And we are having Tiana, she's been doing research to hopefully develop a Black Latino mural in Selma to tell the history of what happened to the Black community in the 1930s after the diaspora in the South. And right now we are actively ideating for a mural of in the Barrio in Selma at the Boys and Girls Club. We have our artists, 3 Chicana artists have put it together, but one we're really working with, she's amazing. And, we're going to need community buy-in, but, these murals, they're going to cost money. Please donate to us. Go to our GoFundMe page. Through all our donations are tax deductible through the Fresno Arts Council. Please, we want your help. We want to get out there and paint more murals, have more discussions. Actually, Ricardo, we have another discussion with Doctora Tanya Pacheco Warner and about systemic racism and hopefully maybe immigration, and we could talk more about Editor's mural. So please stay tuned for that one.
Absolutely. I'm excited. Thank you very much. I want all of you to give yourselves a round of applause, please, because that was amazing. Amazing.
Thank you, Ricardo, being our partner.
Really quick, thank you very much. Absolutely. Really quickly, I just wanted to share with all of you, the most important part is please share these videos. It is really important that you share the videos, that you comment, that you like, and that could be your grain of salt. That's all it takes, is for you to share this message with the right person. Guys, I love you guys, and I truly, truly mean that, because I'm Mexican. We love. That's our thing. You know what I mean? So my mom says I love you. That's why I have a chancla, because I love you. So thank you all of you again. I truly, you are all truly an inspiration. And I think just to kind of close it off, you guys are inspiring someone who's 9, 10, 12 years old who's walking past those murals. So thank you very much. Folks, we are out of here. See you guys next time. Los queremos mucho. Hasta luego. Ciao.
Thank you for watching, everybody.
Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you so much.